I'm Dane Rose, and for week 27 of our year of high growth and well-being, I recommend considering, one, getting a dog, and two, training it well. There's a couple of reasons for this, and I'll break them down. Number one, our culture is producing a surprising level of mental emotional dis-ease. And what this gets down to is different internal metrics being out of balance. I've talked about the imbalance of masculine and feminine energy, but there are a number of imbalances. Even more strikingly, we are producing people with poor regulation and attunement skills. Now, attunement is the process of getting outside of oneself, connecting with another being, another plant, another animal, another human being, and attuning and responding, seeing and understanding how they work, what their rhythm is, what their design is, mentally, emotionally, physically, logistically, financially. And we have gotten very out of sync in this area. It often starts at a very deep level with a dysregulation from our emotions, even more so in the case of men than women, where we are literally asked to put our feelings aside and do the exact opposite of what we feel. I was watching an interesting TED Talk today about a man exploring this process and talking about how to be a great football player, for example, is to do the exact opposite of what your body feels, of what you feel emotionally. That basically the people that win in football are the people who are most willing to sacrifice their body and their feelings for an external objective, otherwise known as a sociopathic state, not attuning to self, not attuning to body, etc. And in environments that reward that, we train ourselves to be out of sync and do the opposite of what we feel. Now, the beauty of an animal, the beauty of a dog, is that they don't have the cultural overlay. Now, as a result, the more crazy the culture, the more sane, relatively speaking, is the animal relationship. Now, this is not always the case, because a large percentage of animal owners actually train their dogs to be dysregulative, abusive, passive-aggressive, etc. Transmitting the human disease onto the dog. Now, the reason I say train a dog well is that by the time you have a present, enthusiastic, safe, energized, well-trained dog that has a great relationship to you. Now, you may think that the path to arrive at that state is all about training the dog. But frankly, in a culture like ours, it's often the reverse. Often you are going to have to become someone who is more consistent than you presently are, because that's what works to train a dog. You're going to have to become more loyal than you currently are, because that's what works with a dog. A dog is not going to lie to you. The results are not going to lie to you. If you have a dysfunctional dog, you, or more accurately, your relationship with yourself and the dog is dysfunctional. There's nothing wrong with that dog. If you watch Caesar the dog whisperer, and look at, how a well-integrated, well-trained, well-organized individual can restore a healthy relationship with an animal that's taken years of abuse to get off track. I mean, this is the power of the human spirit, the power of our innate nature. It takes weeks, months, and years for the relationships to get off track. But an opportunity reinforced consistently to come back onto track can take just a few minutes. So this is, speaking to the fact that there's a deep part in us that wants to restore health, that wants to restore balance. So back to that dog training. By the time that you have a well-disciplined dog, you will learn discipline. By the time you are attuned to that dog's body, you may find that you are attuned to your own body. And so this is really an opportunity to let the dog teach you. Let the dog educate you about who you are, about how to relate, about how to regulate, how to moderate, for example, your aggression, because again, in our present culture, aggression itself is often made taboo. It's actually dysregulated energy that is dangerous. It's the energy that when a rapist comes up to you and begins crossing your boundaries that does not assert itself that is dangerous. And it is the energy that pulls out a gun and shoots someone as soon as there's the slightest bit of discomfort that is dangerous. It is unregulated, out of attune energy that is dangerous. Meeting force with the right amount of force in the right context to produce a desired result is healthy, attuned, grounded energy on the aggressive spectrum. And this is what a dog can teach you. If that continuum has been broken. A dog can also teach you about secure attached relationship in a culture of betrayal and abandonment. What do I mean, a culture of betrayal and abandonment? An emotion emerges and needs a response. Often what needs, to happen when a traumatic memory emerges is to be held, to be present, to be with someone who's consistent. And yet, what do we do in this culture? We often do the exact opposite. We abandon, we avoid, we lie, there's no problem there. I'm sure there was a good reason for that. We come up with all kinds of bullshit to make the other person, or is it really the other person? Is it to make ourselves feel more comfortable? And that's not what we need. An animal is not going to do that. An animal is going to be with you as a steady, present energy as you work through things in a way that's often, much more consistent than a therapist. A dog isn't going to say, time's up, give me my 150 and get out of here. A dog's going to be there with you, and be there with you, and be there with you. So it can be very medicinal. And I would escalate the recommendation about the dog based on earlier in the year we talked about your ACE score, the book The Body Keeps the Score, etc., to bring in trauma literacy, to bring in awareness to what you may be dealing with. This would be a particularly helpful response to a high ACE score. It may be a particularly good response to being highly sensitive. A dog isn't going to talk 90 miles an hour, and if you pick the right type of dog that attunes with you, a dog can help you ground. Touching the dog will bring you into your body, which is again one of the greatest illnesses in our culture, is dissociation from our own body. A dog can help you bring into your body. Going for a walk with a dog is again teaching you exercise. So, you learn the neighborhood, you learn the parks. Connecting with community is something that goes up about 500% when you have a dog. And I'm 2 months into co-ownership with my partner, and both of us have traumatic history. And so I'm getting to see the way that it's affecting both of us. Traumatic history often has a couple of consequences. One is isolation, one is dissociation, one is poor regulation of emotions, regulation of aggression, regulation of energy in response to other people. Because when you have been violated, when you have been traumatized, particularly in the early ages, those mechanisms of calibration are not present. So the tools you're then leaning on are not calibrated. It's kind of like an accelerator that, in a car, it's just not there at all, and then suddenly it's, full on, and the brakes not there at all, and suddenly these need to learn, every force in our life needs to be regulated to the environment, needs to be attuned. And this system gets broken down, with abused children, and it needs to be consciously learned and rebuilt. The dog can play a powerful role in that. So a dog is bringing us into our body. It's teaching discipline. It's teaching consistency. It's teaching good instincts. A healthy dog will teach you, if you watch it interact with other dogs, will teach you about boundaries. No, you don't do that. No, you don't do that. No, you don't do that. Okay, I like that. Do more of that. No, not that. Yes, I like that. This is actually extremely helpful in a social environment. No, I don't like that. How about some of this? How about some of this? A dog can teach us how to sustainably interact, how to have a voice. Get away from here. I don't like this. I'm scared about this. A dog will teach us. So that's the first awareness. A dog is more intelligent in certain areas than we are in an emotionally illiterate culture. Number two, a dog will escalate the social interactions out on walks, etc., by 300 to 500%. It's been kind of amazed. I have all these. It's mostly women, by about a 2/3 to 1/3 majority. But there's frazzled old military men gushing about this dog. There's rapport that gets built around animals. Again, we actually learn how to interact and be warm and connected and empathic with animals more than each other. So if I went up to a person and stroked her or him or gave him a hug and said, "Oh, it's so nice to see you," this is culturally taboo. It would be a very healthy culture, frankly, if we did that kind of thing and learned the instincts to do that well. It would release a lot more oxytocin, a lot more serotonin, etc. This would be a great culture, but it's not our culture. But we can do that with animals. So social escalation, warmth. Then there's the oxytocin with the dog itself, the dopamine with the dog itself, the greater security that the younger parts of us feel with a routine, which has to be created for the dog. The reminder to feed the dog, the reminder to eat at regular intervals. So there's a lot packed in to taking exceptional care of the dog. There's a lot of ripple effects that are very hard to quantify. Now, I'm doing my best to break them down, But what I want you to understand is that you may experience a 400% positive change in the ripple effects of your life from this one choice. To select a dog that you are willing to do whatever it takes to take good care of, which means discipline and training, by the way. It doesn't mean turning it into, a monster. It means discipline and training. That you're willing to do whatever it takes to take care of, and then taking the steps to transform your life to be an excellent guardian and partner with that dog. These are the same steps to reintegrate you with a discipline and a great life. So let me know if you take this step. Let me know if you've already experienced this. Let me know what was the biggest change for you around this dog. And welcome to the adventure. It is an adventure. It is an unknown. It's an opportunity to love. It's an opportunity to grow. It's something you can do today. Take care.